Widespread showers and the chance for storms is why today is another WRAL weather alert day. We'll see the heaviest rain and how long it sticks around tonight.
Headed to the Guns N' Roses concert tonight, we are live in the storm tracker, monitoring traffic and if there will be any rain delays.
And happening right now, Cary leaders are hearing from the public for the first time since a scathing state audit about the town's finances. We'll take you there live as residents push for accountability.
Well, it is Friday Eve. We got plenty of much-needed rain today. Cary Town Council facing a chorus of criticism tonight after a state audit and the push to stop lawmakers from trading stocks. We're going to talk about all of that tonight, and we want you to be a part of it. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. That is the email address. So many of you send questions and ideas that lead to segments that we want to do on this show. So please don't be shy. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll talk about it. First up, a good question from the 7 p.m. inbox about all this rain that we have been having. Mike emailed us asking, how many weather alert days have there been since June 1st? The folks in our weather department, they've been busy. Including today, we have had 27 weather alert days since the start of June. Put another way, we're averaging a weather alert day every other day. They've been for dangerous heat, severe storms, or rain messing with your commute. Let's look at the impacts from today's weather alert day. Check out this giant tree that toppled onto a home in Raleigh. Wow. The homeowner told us he is okay. He only wishes the tree fell on his car, not his home, so that he could get a new one. Right now, we are seeing gloomy skies in Wake County. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is keeping an eye on the rain for us. Kat, how much longer is this going to hang around tonight?
We're just going to see spotty light rain for the next several hours, and then overnight our southern counties will see another batch moving on in. We do have some rain falling across Raleigh and Wake County at this time. The steadier rain is south of our viewing area though now, and it's just light spotty showers around the triangle. And if you were headed to the Guns N' Roses concert, or I guess already there since the opening act has begun, then you'll be glad that you've got the poncho. In our southern counties, a little bit heavier rain going to push toward Rayford. Other than that, it's pretty spotty and light. A flood watch is in effect until midnight, though our southern counties will see that flood watch go all the way through 9 a.m., but it's until midnight here in the triangle. And Futurecast continues to just show this patchy light rain tonight up until about midnight, and then around midnight, that's when we could start to see our next batch of some pockets of heavier rain moving through. That would mainly be south of the triangle, and it would last into the early morning hours tomorrow, but that'll be the wettest part of the day. I'll walk you through some of the driest hours into the weekend coming up.
All right, Kat. The weather is playing pretty nice during tonight's Guns N' Roses concert that Kat mentioned at Carter Finley. Traffic actually not too bad. I mean, we see a lot of cars here, but this isn't uncommon where there is a big event there. Both were a big concern ahead of the show. A live look along Edwards Mill Road here near the stadium. Let's bring in WRAL's Elizabeth Holmes. She's been driving around the stadium tonight, now out of the vehicle, out of the storm tracker. Elizabeth, how have things been looking?
Yeah, Ashley, it's been much better than we anticipated. It didn't take long for us to actually get inside, and you can see the crowds are still making their way through. A lot of people have ponchos. There are actually folks out here selling ponchos for those who may have forgotten them. The rain has held off at this point. Yes, there we go. There we go. Some excited fans here. And as you mentioned, traffic wasn't that bad. You know, there were 3 additional parking lots that were opened up, and this came after concern after the Chris Brown concert last year that caused traffic backups that were so bad to the point that people couldn't even get into the concert to watch the concert. So this hasn't been too bad tonight. Now, we haven't got any rain delays at this point, so that's some good news. If you have a loved one who's going to be at the concert tonight, get them to text this number. It's 67283. You have to text GO PACK, and that will give you updates if there's any kind of rain delay, any lightning, any safety measure that people need to know about. All they have to do is text that number, and they'll get it right to their phone. Live at Carter Finley, I'm Elizabeth Holmes, WRAL News.
Elizabeth, thank you. More than 100 people signed up to talk at Cary's Town Council meeting tonight. Many of them are expected to hammer down about a recent state audit exposing more than $1 million in questionable expenses. WRAL's Monica Casey is in Cary, where some of those public comments are happening right now. Monica, what are you hearing from people there?
Yeah, Ashley, this room is absolutely packed here behind me. In fact, it's actually standing room only right now. There are a few items on tonight's agenda that people are here to speak about, but we can definitely expect to hear a lot about that audit. State Auditor Dave Bullock said last week former town manager Sean Stiegel and other employees made more than a dozen questionable purchases. Those included expensive dinners with no apparent business purpose, unauthorized land purchases, and graduate school tuition for a councilwoman. Now, that audit is hundreds of pages long. Kerry also initiated an independent review, and that echoed many of the state audit's findings. Council members heard more about that at the start of tonight's meeting.
So we concluded that was an operational failure. And by operational failure, we simply mean there were rules in place that, in our judgment, were not applied as intended. And so that rule failed.
Now, council members are still hearing about that independent review right now, that presentation ongoing. After that, we will have public comment, and we certainly expect that to take a while. Live in Cary, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
All right, Monica, thank you. We'll stay on top of that story throughout the evening hours. We're following two breaking news stories right now. New at 7, a truck crash closes part of I-85, and the city telling people not to pay their utility bill with checks. Brian Schrader covering both of these in the live center. Brian?
Ashley, let's start with that crash on I-85. This is a live look right now at the camera on I-85 near that Butner exit, just before you get to Butner. So this is on the northbound side, just after you cross Falls Lake. They're diverting all traffic there because of a crash involving a tractor trailer. Can't really see it very well, but it's up there at the top of the screen. Working to find out more about exactly what's going on there. Looks like southbound traffic is moving along without any trouble. And then that word from Rocky Mount. In the past half hour, we have learned that they've had so many bounced checks. The city says they're asking people not to use checks to pay their utility bills anymore. Can use cashier's checks, business checks, online payments, also debit and credit cards, but no checks are going to be accepted any longer for City of Rocky Mount utility bills.
All right, Brian. Wow, thank you. Let's get you caught up now. Here are 5 things you should know right now. Raleigh police say another 16-year-old faces charges in connection with a shooting investigation on Glenwood South over the 4th of July weekend. It was one of several shootings along Glenwood Avenue that night as thousands of young people gathered there. The latest teen was taken to a juvenile detention facility. They face several charges, including assault with a deadly weapon. A man is in custody after what Johnston County deputies are calling a drug lab bust. The SBI assisted the Johnston County Narcotics Unit to execute a search warrant at a home on Benson Hardy Road in Benson. Investigators say Jason Peltier has been making the psychedelic drug DMT. Peltier is now facing several drug charges. And several people were hurt in a 6-car crash in Raleigh today. Take a look at this. It happened on St. Albans Drive on Wake Forest Road. One person went to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. 5 others are expected to be okay. The Sheriff's Office is introducing its new Rescue One boats for the dive team. The boats will be used for water emergencies, search and rescue missions, and recovery operations. The Sheriff's Office says the new Rescue One boats strengthen emergency response capabilities. And rounding this out at number 5, the Panthers released new renderings of the $1.3 billion renovation project underway. There will be an expanded indoor and outdoor space, a new 500-level social patio, upgraded seats, and new premium offers. They also plan on upgrading scoreboards and displays. The project expected to be complete by 2030. A push to stop members of Congress from buying stock is one step closer to the finish line. It's a proposal that gained a lot of traction in recent years. It's about ethics and a lawmaker's bottom line. Coming up, we'll talk about which leaders from North Carolina have been cashing in the most. A proposal to stop members of Congress from buying stocks is moving forward. It cleared the House and it now goes to the Senate. It's the first time this specific proposal has ever passed a chamber of Congress. It also requires lawmakers to say they're going to sell a stock a week before actually doing it. Some version of this proposal has been discussed for decades, but right now there seems to have been some real juice behind it. More members of Congress, plus everyday Americans, are supporting the idea that people in politics shouldn't be able to use their office to get rich. And that got us thinking, how much money are members of Congress from North Carolina making off of stocks? WRAL state government reporter Caroline Jaffa found out.
Half of North Carolina's congressional delegation wouldn't have to do much. 7 have no stocks at all, 4 Republicans and 3 Democrats. The other half does report owning individual stocks. That's 6 Republicans and 1 Democrat. Some have a portfolio worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, while on the other hand, others are in the millions. But owning stocks isn't the same as actively trading them. These 4 lawmakers have made a profit on trading in 2024. Brad Knott made as much as $53,000, and Tim Moore made as much as $343,000. Mark Harris and Virginia Fox are somewhere in the middle. But the weird part is all 4 of them voted to restrict stock trading. So we asked them, why did they vote for this? And will they continue to trade stocks? We haven't heard back.
This feeds into the general skepticism and cynicism that people have about politicians, that they are taking advantage of the public. They are using their public office to benefit themselves rather than their constituents.
North Carolina Congressman Greg Murphy is among those who do not trade. He put it this way, quote, members and their families should not use the office for financial gain. We must root out perceptions of corruption to preserve faith in our federal government. North Carolina's 2 U.S. Senate candidates have also weighed in.
It leads to corruption, and it has to stop.
I strongly support the stock trading ban. I think it's absolutely essential.
The bill still has to clear the U.S. Senate. We'll continue to monitor the developments. Caroline Jaffa, WRAL News, Raleigh.
It's interesting, right? So let's take a closer look here at the Stop Insider Trading Act. That's what it's called. It's an idea that you probably agree with, right? Stop insider trading. The thing is, insider trading is already illegal for everyone, including lawmakers. In 2012, Congress passed the Stock Act. It blocks lawmakers from using non-public information for personal financial benefit. It also requires members of Congress to publicly report any stock dealings within 45 days. It took 6 years to get that bill over the finish line. And in that time, banning Congress from buying stocks outright was part of the debate. It just wasn't in that final version that passed. So really, the Stop Insider Trading Act is kind of a bad name when you think about it, right? It's about stopping lawmakers from buying stocks entirely, insider info or not. But if this has been part of the conversation for 20 years, why is it only passing the House now? Well, a few things. The first answer centers around day-to-day politics. They just couldn't agree on the specific language, right? What happens to stocks that lawmakers already own? Should they have to sell that off? And what about their family members? Should that ban apply to them too? How about the president, the vice president? The current proposal doesn't include them in the ban. But should it? There are a bunch of little debates within the big one. In 2022, the Ethics Reform Act called for big changes across government. It banned members of Congress from buying or selling stocks. It blocked former lawmakers from certain lobbying activities. It required the IRS to share the tax information for presidential and vice presidential candidates. The question wasn't just should members of Congress be able to buy stocks. There was so much more that went into it. And the Ethics Reform Act never made it out of committee. Sometimes the stocks part gets squeezed into a bill that has tons of totally different policy inside of it. And that's what's happening right now. Republicans tied the stock ban to a bill about voter ID, something that Democrats have long opposed. So why is it all getting lumped together? Well, the answer is politics.
The Democrats are going to argue, well, I'm really for the stock trading ban. In fact, most Democrats are for an even more vigorous version of it, a harder version of it, but voted against it, not because they opposed the ban on stock trading, but because of the voter ID stuff. But negative attack commercials during the campaign aren't going to go through that nuance. They're just going to say so-and-so voted against stock trading bans.
And then there's also the human element to this. You're asking members of Congress to sign off on rules that limit how much money they can make. You know, think about that. That'd be like if I let my kids decide when bedtime is. Or more like telling your boss to hold off on giving you that raise. No, Don't worry about it. Not this time. Decision making gets messy when your bottom line is on the line. So what should Congress do? Let us know what you think. Is there a part of this that we're missing? Send us an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Kat, Southern Pines still looking pretty rainy over there.
It's kind of dreamy looking, I'll be honest. A little break from the heat, some much needed rain. The worst of the flood threat has ended for now. And in our southern counties, we could still see perhaps a flood advisory tonight, but I think the worst of the flash flooding has ended. And you can see it's just a rainy day, a nice healthy dose of rain for us all over the past 24 hours. We continue to see some scattered showers rolling through Wake County at this hour, Johnston County and the northern part of Jordan Lake, Wilson as well, and Fayetteville and our southern counties will continue to see patchy light rain. Here's the thing, though. This is mainly light rain, and it's going to stay that way up until about midnight when we could see a band of some heavier rain pass through our southern counties south of the Triangle. Temperatures are sitting in the low to mid 70s right now, 72 in the Triangle, 70 in Southern Pines, and 71 in Rocky Mount. We actually may break a record for the coolest high temperature today. Previous record was 76, and we've had 74 or 75 so far today, and that was at midnight. So some cool stats to talk about there. And when you look at the rainfall estimates over the past 5 days, these are radar estimates, again, so they're not actual ground truth readings, but it still gives you a general idea. 1 to 3 inches of rain fell on a widespread basis, and some communities lucked out and saw even more than that. The drought status was updated today. The data taken in for this went through Tuesday, so it doesn't account for the rain last night or today. However, pretty much everybody saw the drought category drop 1 category in severity. So we still aren't there. We're not out of the drought yet, but everybody did see some improvements by at least 1 scale down. Our next weather maker is the front that's in our southern counties. It's going to be hanging out there tonight and tomorrow. And overnight, we'll see the bulk of the rain stay in our southern counties. We could pick up another ½ an inch to an inch in our southernmost counties overnight into tomorrow morning, but not a whole lot of rain around the Triangle tomorrow. Points north, it would be a ¼ an inch or less, mostly in the morning. Again on Saturday, it would be more spotty, and it does not look terribly wet Saturday for us. It looks like the best chance for rain would actually come during the early morning hours again on Saturday. Futurecast is showing the rain tomorrow morning, clearing out. Still cloudy, some sprinkles possible, but not the heavier stuff like we saw today. And then again tomorrow night, we could see another band of rain move through. I don't think that this model has enough action. I do think that we will actually see a little bit more rain than what the model is showing overnight into Saturday morning. Otherwise, the rest of the day, it's just a couple of patchy showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but not widespread. Then Sunday, we're down to just a 30% storm chance. Temperatures not too bad for the next 2 days, but they are cranking back up into the 90s as we get into next week. We're back to pretty normal July weather next week.
All right, Kat, thank you. 35 years in the Army Reserve, more than 55 years as a pastor. Sounds like someone worth recognizing, right? One last thing in just a few minutes. One last thing tonight. Sometimes it's just important to say thank you to the people who make our area great. In Johnston County, they thanked 99-year-old Cheryl Stevens. Here he is. He's the county's first ever recipient of the Cypress Legacy Award. It was modeled after the state's Order of the Longleaf Pine, honoring people who make huge contributions. Stevens was born near Benson and raised outside Clayton. He joined the Army during World War II and served in Germany after the war ended. He then spent 35 years in the Army Reserve. What a guy. Stevens was a pastor in churches across the South for more than 55 years. Even among all his travels, he never lost sight of where home was.
Thank you very much for this recognition. I am a proud Johnstonian. I have lived a good deal of my life away from this county, but this is where my roots are. And it has been my privilege to be a part of this county's life in retirement now since 1987.
Wow, that just gave me chills. How about you? Mr. Stevens is still active in Army Reserve activities. His family carries on his legacy. He's got 3 children, 10 grandchildren, 20 great-grandchildren, and one great-great-grandchild. Wow, quite a life. Hey, some quick feedback from some of you watching at home tonight. Lori asked about the stock trading bill. She said, will the bill prevent the president and his family from trading stock? The version of this bill, Lori, doesn't restrict the president or vice president from buying stocks. It's one of the big sticking points right now. Some lawmakers want that rule in place. There's that debate within the debate as well. Remember how we talked about those little micro debates that are happening within the big picture? One of the reasons this bill has never gotten over the finish line is because of that little debate within the big debate. David asked, I know that members of Congress are restricted from dealing in stocks. Does the same also apply to the president and vice president? David, thank you for your question. We think that we've got the answer for you. Caroline Yaffe is sending me a message saying that Congress is not restricted. They just have to comply with the Stock Act. President, vice president, they're under different restrictions. They just have to disclose what they are doing. If we get any new information on that, David, I'll be sure to send you an email as we try to get these in real time here at 7 p.m. That is our email address. Thanks to everybody who's written in. Please keep those emails coming. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Thanks for watching tonight at 7. Hey, tomorrow's Friday. Have a great night.